What's a fragrance note that's completely underrated and people don't talk about nearly as much as they should? Before you take a guess, no, I'm not talking about bergamot. Bergamot's like literally in everything. That is not the note I'm talking about. No, I don't mean saffron. No, I don't mean rose. I'm definitely not talking about vanilla. Vanilla's in almost everything as well. But what's that one fragrance note that might be gaining a little bit of traction right now in 2026 that over the past few years just rarely do people talk about it? I'm talking about that plum, baby. I am plum crazy. If you love plum like I do, Initio Paragon is one of the first fragrances that comes to mind. If you like that creamy, sweet, masculine plum especially, let's talk about Vintage Radio. Let's see how this stacks up in comparison to Paragon. See if it's worth your money, your time, and your attention. Stay tuned, we're going to talk about it right now. Welcome to the channel, people. My name is Keenan. Keenan Cologne is my page. Please do me a favor. We are building a very large community of like-minded individuals like me and you who love all things fragrance. If you love Middle Eastern clones, if you like Middle Eastern originals, designers, niche, you name it, we talk about all of it right here on this channel. I cannot grow and we cannot build this community without your help. Please, 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 please hit that like button, but most importantly, hit the subscribe button if you love fragrances. That being said, the topic of discussion today is none other than Lattafa's Vintage Radio. Guarantee you've seen this all over your feeds, all over your social medias. The question is it worth the hype? Is it overly hyped up? Are people just trying to monetize off of it? Or is this a legitimate banger? So today we're going to talk about the longevity, the projection, the notes themselves, what it's actually going to smell like to you, and some of the price points that you can attain this at. What I like to do as usual is go over what this actually smells like to human beings first, and then I'll go over the notes with you to see if they match up. But oh my God, when you smell this stuff, it smells like absolutely nothing else you've ever put your nose on. Of course, unless you've already smelled Initio's Paragon. It opens up with this sweet plum, but overall you're going to get this warm, elegant, classy, sweet, creamy vibe with a little hint of woods. You definitely get some sandalwood creaminess going on. You get the sweet plum, and you also get a hint of what seems to be either nutmeg or cinnamon. That's what it smells like. Now let me put the notes up on the screen here and we can go over what the actual note breakdown is. All right, so you can see in the note breakdown, we have lavender, sage, bergamot. Honestly, not picking up a ton of that, maybe a hint of the lavender, not really getting much bergamot whatsoever, and really not much sage either. You're also gonna get plum, Palo Santo, which I definitely smell in here, and black pepper. Now the Palo Santo is interesting because I think from my nose what that gives it is it gives it that smooth, warm, slightly smoky incense vibe that we all know and love. Palo Santo is one of those incense that you can burn in your house that actually smells good. It does not smell dirty or animalic at all. It just has a smooth creaminess about it. Definitely pick up Palo Santo in this fragrance. Absolute fire. Then in the base, you're going to get sandalwood and oud. More so than oud, I pick up sandalwood. Sandalwood has a less abrasive, more creamy, flowy vibe about it. More mass appealing, I would say, than oud to the average person. There are some oud lovers out there, but I would say 9.5 out of 10 people will probably prefer a more sandalwoody vibe as it's less harsh and less abrasive. Sandalwood is definitely prominent in here as well. So in terms of how the actual smell in real life lines up with the note breakdown, I'm going to say it's pretty much spot on. Again, maybe a hint of freshness from the bergamot, but it's not very obvious. And maybe a touch of oud in the base, but again, I get mainly sandalwood. Now let's go over performance and longevity to see if this stuff is weak or if it actually lasts and is going to get you compliments. Now what I can tell you is I've already tested this on my skin. I wear this pretty often, and I get roughly about 8 hours of performance every single time I wear this. Typically, I get 1 or 2 compliments for the week as well if I wear it all week, especially in this cold weather, because it has a certain element of sweetness. It makes it where it's hard to ignore it and people will notice. So if performance is a big concern for you, you have nothing to fear. This stuff works and it lasts all day. Now, real quick, let's talk about closeness to the OG. How close does this stack up in terms of how it smells compared to Initio's Paragon? Full disclaimer, I do not own Initio Paragon. However, I did receive a sample from it and I have smelled it. I've tested it both on skin and on strip. And I can say this is probably about 85 to 87% close. Definitely in the wheelhouse. When you smell this, you know that this is supposed to be an interpretation of Paragon. But with Paragon being a more expensive niche fragrance, all the way from the upper twos into the mid threes in terms of price, as can be expected, you're going to get more depth with that, okay? Longevity's on par. I get about the same with Paragon as I did with this, but you're going to get more depth, more of a realistic tone with some of the ingredients, because as you can imagine, they're naturally going to use more high-end, more luxurious oils and ingredients in the fragrance than you're going to get in a $30 bottle of Vintage Radio. Full disclaimer though, is that enough for me to go out and spend 300 bucks on that bottle? Absolutely not. This gets extremely close. It lasts and it smells very expensive and classy. If you're looking for a sweet, plum forward, warm, slightly spicy scent, this is an absolute banger, and like I said, you will get compliments with this. Now, since it's not all rainbows and butterflies out here as we know, let's talk about a drawback or two that you're going to find with both Initio Paragon and Lattafa Vintage Radio. So I'm going to say there's about two of them. One of them doesn't pertain to me as I am a collector. I have over 220 bottles, but I can see this being a slight issue for the guy out there that just wants one fragrance. If you want Vintage Radio to be your daily, everyday, no matter what, no matter the season, no matter the situation occasion, you might run into an issue with the fact that it's sweet and creamy. Let's just be honest, guys. You want to smell sweet and creamy sometimes. Sometimes in the evening and sometimes when it's cold outside. But if it's the middle of summertime, you're probably not going to want that vibe. It might be a little bit cloying, might be a little bit too much. You might want and lean towards something fresher, whereas this does not deliver a ton of freshness. The second potential issue also does not pertain to me as I love this fragrance, but I could see it being an issue for some guys out there. If you want a hyper masculine scent, something like this here, this could potentially be a little bit too unisex for you. Again, because of the creaminess and the sweetness, I would not consider this a gourmand by any means. However, as we know from gourmand fragrances, they usually lean a little bit feminine as they tend to smell sweet like a food or like a dessert. This does have a creamy essence about it. It's got that sweet, bubblegummy kind of plum in the opening, and the sandalwood is on the gentler side. So if you're some guy out there that needs to have that masculine, that punch in the face, like that Creed Ventus Absolute meets Bond Number 9 Lafayette Street, like that level of masculinity, you may not find this to be your best option either. However, as I said before, there's a time and a place for everything. I'm a guy, I'm a collector who likes to have a fragrance for every situation, so that way I stand out from the crowd. This does a hell of a job at getting that done for me. That being said, if I had to rate Lattafa's Vintage Radio overall, I'm going to absolutely give this thing a 9.5, 9.6 out of 10. It is an absolute masterpiece. They sell a ton of this product. It is hyped up. It's glazed everywhere. And I can honestly say I understand why, and I completely agree. That being said, if you guys love all things fragrance like I do, please do me a favor. I cannot grow this channel without you. Hit that subscribe button. I drop a couple bangers a week, every single week for you guys. I receive about 4 to 9 fragrances in on a weekly basis. And when I do, I put you guys on to which ones are worth your time and money, which ones are not. I am not sponsored. I am not beholden to any company. If it's trash, I'll tell you. If it's gas, I'll tell you. And if it's anything in between, I will always be honest and let you know. When you guys buy Lattafa's Vintage Radio, just do me one small favor, please. Thank me when it comes in. Appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one.